Lo-Fi Horror Guys Growing on You Live Season 15 is sponsored by Metal Blade Records. Metal Blade Records was formed in 1982 and still remains independent with offices worldwide. Throughout the years, the label has released material for countless renowned acts such as Metallica and Slayer, and is currently home to Amon Amarth, the Black Dahlia Murder, Cannibal Corpse, Space Chaser, and many other legendary artists. You can find Metal Blade Records on social media as well as metalblade.com to find the latest news and new releases. Once again, find them on social media as well as metalblade.com.
Hello.
All right, Matthias.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
How are you doing?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time today. So cool digging into some of the stuff in the new record and all. And congrats. I mean, I know I see you guys are making numbers on the charts over there in Germany and, doing big things with the albums. Awesome.
Yeah, that came as a big surprise. I mean, entering the charts at in the top 30 for a little band like us. It's almost like the people have spoken. That's what we want. That's what they buy. So that's where it's amazing. It's a really positive sign, I think, for thrash metal in general.
Hell yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just, even thrash, that's always been kind of my favorite subgenre of metal, but even metal in general, just seeing those types of things in the charts and, seeing something like that, I can mention Space Chaser came on my radar with metal, getting signed to Metal Blade and the video coming up, and then, your guys' singles coming. I'm like, who is this band? Holy shit. So it was nice, having that opportunity as far as, seeing the label promoting the stuff, and then going back and seeing the catalog that you guys have had, for quite some time. I'm like, holy shit. So, I'm sure it feels a little bit like a breath of fresh air for like, finally, maybe a little step in the right direction.
Absolutely, man. It's yourself. You're playing your ass off every other weekend, and you release records, and you're always trying your best, and you get like a couple of hundred listeners on Spotify or what have you. And it's so good to finally get some attention and get your stuff heard, and so many cool people all over the world that I have been talking to the past couple of weeks. That's really amazing.
Yeah, totally. And I guess not to sound like it's all about the money or the recognition or anything, but for as long as you guys have been doing it, to go back, and to hear the stuff too, it's like shit. It just was out of my radar. It just wasn't something that I saw, and I go back and look, I'm like, boy, you guys have been fucking killing it for a while.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. Glad you like the old stuff, because it's a bit different, I reckon, than the newer, but it's still us. I think you can hear it, that it's the same band, but it's different, I guess. So I'm glad you like it. I was
absolutely. I was just going to say, it still embodies the fun, spirit that comes along with the newer stuff. I think the newer album brings in a little bit more even of a heavy element. We'll dig into, a couple of the tracks, but, you kind of get midway and then it's already heavy and fast, and it just maybe slows down the tempo or gets chunkier. It's like, holy shit, you guys really brought it for this.
Awesome. Thank you.
We're going to start off here basically on Growing On You Live. I have one introduction question, and then the remainder of the interview is going to be about you and your craft, your drumming, and your career with the band. And then I have one finale that I wrote just for this. So we'll dig in, starting off with my wife and I do some traveling. If we came over and we were over in Berlin, what would be a local restaurant or an eatery that you would recommend, a personal favorite?
I would send you here in Kreuzberg. There's this legendary place, the Wild at Heart. I'm not sure if you might have heard of it even. And they have a restaurant next to them. That's the Tiki Heart. It's really old school, like a lot of rockabilly and punk rock guys hanging out, and you can get burgers and whatnot. And
nice.
I think I would send you there. Nice people, cool, like old school Kreuzberg vibe that you can hardly find anymore.
Nice.
And I would make sure I would join you guys.
Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, it would be so cool. I mean, once things, clear up, because we had some plans too, previous to all of this happening, and it's kind of something where you want to be selfish and say, this is just about done. I'll go and travel here and here. But it's so uncertain times, you just want to be careful
Yeah.
with all that stuff. And I mean, even my band has some shows booked, and I'm sure you guys have things booked as well. And, it's just kind of a little uncertain thing, how far out do you go, with things?
Yeah. Yeah, it's I wouldn't travel too far, to be honest, because then what if you're stuck? So
All right.
I'm back. My phone overheated. Got some ice. I hope this works now.
Oh no! Oh no!
All right.
Jesus! All right, got you. Yeah. It was, it was kind of ironic. You mentioned being stuck, and then all of a sudden it started freezing. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch! That's a bad sign.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you, as far as growing up and early on, what were early interests? May it be songs or albums, things, maybe even possibly starting an interest in music for yourself.
That started very early by, I remember my mother always listening to her records, and actually the first record that I really listened to was this one, My
Oh,
Country. It has,
nice.
it's like has Johnny Cash and Hank Williams and Hoyt Axton and whatnot. Ever since I'm a big fan of country music, and that's what brought me into this. And also another record that she had that I loved a lot when I was a very small child was an Elvis best, the 40 best Elvis songs or something like that.
Nice.
So those were the records that I grew up with.
I love that.
And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What was that?
I mean, country is punk rock for old people.
Yeah, yeah, hell yeah. The little bit of rebellion, and Johnny Cash there putting up the fist.
Yeah.
Totally. Now, was that something when you were younger? Did you have a console, or did you have a record player at home, or was that something special as far as going over to like a grandparent's house or a family member?
My mother had a stereo, like one of those combos that that those big things. They had a tape thing in it as well. And later on, I got a very cheap one for myself. I think
Okay.
when I was 7 or 8. Like I listened to much music, so they just got me something cheap.
Oh, okay.
And
Nice.
that's how it all started. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And so I gotta ask, where does Slayer come into play? Some of the heavier stuff and thrash. Where does that come into play?
Pretty early. I still was, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years old. And all my friends that I went to school with, they had these older brothers, and they would steal their T-shirts, those cool metal shirts. And I always was like, okay, I have no idea what this is, but that's the shit, man. So I always would sneak into their older brothers' rooms whenever I visited my friends, and I was, just checking out bands they were listening to, and then I would go into a record store and check out if I found one of those records. So the first one was Manowar Battle Hymn, because I don't know, the cover just drew me in, and the next one was already South of Heaven from Slayer. It just was released back in the day, and I got it. I was like, that looks exactly like the shirts the other guys are wearing, and I immediately was hooked. It was that sound. It was so morbid and brutal. It was exactly what I wanted at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And so was that something were kids wearing Slayer shirts, or was that something where the artwork kind of drew you in and was like, this kind of looks like that stuff that they're wearing?
Both.
Oh, okay.
They really were, Slayer was the band for everyone, and they had like the back patches and the shirts and also stuff, SOD, Anthrax, whatever was Exhumer, whatever, all those bands. But Slayer kind of the artwork was even different than the other stuff, and I remember seeing an ad in a magazine for Slayer for Rain and Blood, and said that it's the most brutal record of all. Yeah, okay, let's go. I'm ready.
Right. You did not have to say anything else. That's all I need.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. That's hilarious. Now, so bringing it back, to your earlier memories of your record shop, your local record shop. If you can, describe maybe some fond memories of that. What comes to mind from, when you were coming up, and what spot that you had locally to you?
Yeah, that was. I always would go into the first store I ever went. That was called Goofy. Like the cartoon character Goofy.
Oh,
But I
okay.
don't exactly. I remember it being incredibly messy and a very, very arrogant guy working there. As walking in as a kid, they don't really take you serious. So I did not really dare to go in there. It seemed like the older guys go there, and so I went into this other store. It was called Stereo 2000 or something stupid, and it was just, records and records and records, and they had this small section for heavy metal and thrash metal being thing. It was predominantly like that's where I bought, I don't know, Creator and Slayer records and
Ooh,
all
okay.
kinds of stuff. It was just nothing special, I guess. It was not a straight metal shop, although we had one of those too. That was also. He would get you anything. Like, I remember when Butchered at Birth from Cannibal Corpse came out,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
wanted that T-shirt. He was like, "No, dude, you're too young. I can't sell it to you. It's you have to be 18." And I just ran out on the streets, grabbed somebody who looked old enough, and asked her, "Are you 18?" And she's, "Yeah, come with me." I gave her the money, and she bought the T-shirt. She gave it to me, and the guy was like, "I don't give a shit. I just can't sell it to you. The rest I don't care about."
Oh my God, that is so crazy. And I mean, it was something like, I don't even feel like nowadays it's a thing as far as, for parental advisory, because that was the same thing over here, like parental advisory CDs, for instance. You had to be, I don't know, 16 or 18 or something like that, and having like some T-shirts with just some vile shit on it. It's like, I can't sell that to a
Yeah.
minor, but but man, that's funny that you bring that up. It's and crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
especially for that shirt, being in a shop, they had that. Like, it wasn't something they had to order.
No, they had he got a couple of shirts in, and they were sold out immediately because everybody wanted that shirt,
Yeah, right.
of
Wow.
course.
Damn. Damn. Dear Lord. Okay, so
Yeah.
we were touching on cover art a little bit, and I wanted to mention
Uh-huh.
Mario Lopez. He did the cover art for the new album, correct? Give Us Life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He's a
What
great artist.
and totally, I mean, absolutely just embodied, the spirit and energy that comes with the record. And you'd mentioned the South of Heaven, cover art. Are there other albums that come to mind? Maybe an album that it was a band you didn't even know that you discovered solely off of the cover art?
Sure. That happened quite a lot, I guess. And I still to that day buy every once in a while a record because I like the cover artwork. But the first one that was Endless Pain by Creator.
Oh,
There, I
yeah.
saw, I saw, I saw the guy, about to hack off the head of that dude on the floor in front of him. I was like, wow, okay, that's it. I need to get this. Uh, and my friend had to sell it because his mother was like, this thing leaves my house now. So he sold it to me for $10.
Oh my
uh,
God.
and yeah, ever since, I mean, Creator was, I think, next to Slayer, Creator was my favorite band ever.
Oh, nice.
I I,
Okay.
I really I I was the biggest Creator fan uh, you could think of. Up until Extreme Aggressions came out, this record changed it all. It was like, wow. I would even go so far. It's my second. It's on par with Rain and Blood. I wouldn't
Oof.
know which one is better. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Nice. Now, with mentioning, as far as like some of the more extreme, imagery and things, was it something where did your parents have certain things that you saw where they're like, you're not keeping this in this house?
No, they have been pretty cool.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I
Okay.
was there were some things that I was scared of to I don't know when I got Symphonies of Sickness by Carcass. I
Oh,
thought like
yeah.
I don't know if that's too smart to. And my friend wanted to. He was really into tape trading and all of that kind of stuff
Yeah.
early on. So he was in contact with all the guys from Carcass and what have you. And he ordered a couple of T-shirts with the Reek of Putrefaction design.
Oh,
And
man.
he wanted to sell me, and I did not. I thought if I buy this, I may not be able to keep it. So I hate myself every day for not buying it because I never saw it again. But this was just so awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I didn't. I thought this. No, my parents might be not too happy about this.
Okay. And I mean, and you have quite a collection still of all your T-shirts that you've collected too. I think it was on the Metal Blade channel
Yes.
that you did a video and you kind of showcase some of the things that you had from over the years, and even one, is it a
Yeah.
Metallica or a Slayer T-shirt that you got like out of a garbage bin?
Yeah, it was a Slayer with this
Okay.
hanging boy
Yeah, yeah,
design.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Wow.
it
Boy,
was
what luck.
in the 90s. Everybody, yeah, in the 90s, everybody got rid of their metal shirts, and so we would always go to this uh, like what would you call it? Where everybody just throws their stuff out. Not even a thrift store or anything. Just like where you put all your if you have an old fridge you put it, you just
Oh, okay. Yeah,
drive
like
it
a
over there and you
recycling
get
center
rid of
type
it.
thing.
Yeah, exactly, a recycling and they also had like this huge uh where you could just throw in your old clothes, and we would always dig around because we back in the days I was totally into this DIY hardcore, and we would get old clothes that we could print on and sell it on shows.
Oh, okay.
And all of
Yeah.
a sudden, every once in a while you dig out something cool like a Slayer shirt or a Overkill shirt. Well, that it happened.
Nice, nice.
But
Yeah, that
yes,
rules. Shit. Especially after finding that, you're like, boy, I got to come back here more.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's funny too, as far as with some of the DIY approach and some of the things kind of making happen what what need to so you had T-shirts that you had found and you would print like designs or your logo on them and you would sell them at shows then.
Yes, yes. We
Damn,
just
that rules.
either we yeah. I if it had a print, we just would turn it upside down or and print on there. And sometimes it just had a pattern that we liked or something, or like shirts, all kinds of stuff. That didn't last too long because it didn't sell too good. But some of them, sometimes you find a Adidas jacket or something like that, and you can print your logo on the back, and people would
Oh
give you
yeah.
$10 for it.
Oh yeah, nice. That rules. Now, with
Yeah.
your mention, of early on with T-shirts and things kind of drawing your eye. Do you remember the first shirt that it was that you saw where you're like, what the hell is that? Because I know you mentioned
Uh,
your older friends that had them on, but do you remember the first one that you saw that it just drew you?
yeah, it was also the from Slayer. It was the from the South of Heaven tour. It just had this world, like the planet Earth on it, with
Hmm.
the Slayer swords stuck through it,
Oh
and the
man.
and blood dripping all. That was like I was like it was white, and I was like, wow, a white metal shirt, wow. And ever since I think I still think thrash shirts are white. Like
Right, right.
it just looks cool.
Does it have the red lettering over top, like the Slayer logos and the red lettering?
Yeah, I can. Let me grab it really quick.
Well, shit, if you have it.
Yeah, it has a red, like reddish. This one.
Damn. God, that is so
Yeah,
cool. How many
yeah,
shirts
with
would
the
you say
tour
you
dates
have in
on
your
back.
collection? Oof, that is
Uh,
badass.
at all? I don't know. Two,
A,
like
a lot.
400 maybe. I don't know. So a
Whoa.
bunch. Yeah, I never count them.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. What you got? You got one house for your shirts and records, and then the other house for living in.
Yeah, kind of. I have I still have my old VG place that I rent out, where I keep sort of a music room.
Nice. Nice. All right. So where does come in, or where does playing music come into play, as far as was drums the first instrument that you ended up picking up?
No, actually, I tried. So it's like I tried to play the recorder, and the teacher asked my mom if I have to do it because I had zero talent for anything. And then I tried to pick up the guitar because, of course, I was listening to heavy metal,
Uh,
and I had this my parents couldn't afford like expensive lessons, so they I got stuck at school with one of my I think the principal of my school just taught guitar, and he was a classical guitar player.
mm,
So now I know that would have been the right way to go and learn guitar. But for me, it was like, no, that's not what I want to play.
yeah.
That's stupid shit.
Right.
I want to play, Metallica or Snare Drums. So
Nice.
that was that. I didn't get far with guitar then, and yeah, banging on things really came pretty early. But my parents were like, "Nah, dude, we're not buying you a drum set." So I think I was uh, 11, 11 years old, and I had to work in my holidays, and I had the most money I could make at a butcher shop. So I helped them, with everything, and I made some money, and within a year or so, I had enough money to buy the cheapest drum set in our music store.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that's when it all. Then I took I promised my parents I will take lessons. I practice because I really was on fire. That was not. That was clear to me that this is serious. And then from my first lessons on, I kept playing, and immediately started. We had a band before I even had an instrument, so I always had this motivation of it going somewhere.
Okay. Now, with you having lessons, was that with the drum lessons, was that something where they were more, drawn to what it was that you were trying to play, or was that a little bit more of like a scaled down, we'll start with these types of things?
I had a great teacher. He he was very, back in the days, most teachers they had their, like, you have to learn the snare drum stuff, and then you can move to that, and you have to, but he was different. He immediately could tell that, I don't care for the paradiddles. So he showed me a
Okay.
bunch of grooves and like some, it's, and as soon as he showed me like how this thing works, I could put it together like with what I heard from the records that I was listening to,
Okay.
and I recognized all the sounds like the kick drum and the snare drum. Okay, that's what it is. All right, so I pretty early I started to try to play along to songs. I was not very good at the beginning, but I always could manage to recreate the sounds that I was listening to. But for example, one of the first songs we covered with my very first, with my, I don't know if you call it a band, with friends making music.
Hmm.
We played stuff like Troops of Doom from Sepultura, or stuff like
Oh
that, and
man,
with the
nice.
easy, for whom the bell tolls. I'm
Okay.
sure it sounded like shit, but that's how we got.
I mean, but you know, and that's the whole learning process, you know, too, is like when you look back at it at the time, you know, you kind of think like, oh, this is exciting, and you know, and then there's like that middle ground where all of a sudden you're a little bit later, you're like, oh, that was terrible, and you know, what silliness,
Yeah.
why did I even do that? But I mean, those are the, you know, those are like the foundation of all of that shit. You just as far as figuring everything out and kind of, you know, where to start, and you know, just learning things, you know, learning songs, you know. Sometimes I remember being younger, and you know, kids always thinking that cover songs, you know, were goofy, and I don't want to do that, you know. It's like, well, we're not writing shit.
You have to.
You got to learn stuff, you know?
You have to. You can't start original, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you
Yep.
can, but it will suck. It's like when you like the first time you step in the ring, you get your ass kicked. You don't win your first boxing match,
Right,
right?
right.
So,
yeah,
and that's the same thing with playing music.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. You know, and I think something that's really, you know, something that's really important from talking to different people, and I was, you know, asking about your lessons, was the fact of, you know, a good teacher or a great teacher, you know, someone who is really, you know, paying attention to what it is that you're looking for, you know, can really mold someone. You know, for instance, if you had, you know, a better even guitar teacher, for instance, you know, it's like, what would have you been doing today, you know, for guitar? You know, if it was like
Yeah,
they took a little more time
yeah,
listening.
exactly.
And you know,
Yeah,
I mean, as far as having some friends that do that too, I think it's been something where it's like, you know, if you're not, maybe just listen to what the hell they want to play for a minute, and maybe incorporate that to, you know, some of the fundamentals with things.
yeah. That's also that makes it easy to teach someone, because if you know what his goals are, what I always ask my student, what do you want? What do you want to learn from me? And then they come up with a song, even if it's far above their level or their skills.
Mm.
And then I said, like, yeah, cool, we can do that. So I, dissect in what pieces they would have to learn in order to get there. And whenever they complain about it's too hard, no, you want to learn that. You said and that's the best motivation that you can have as a student.
Yeah,
And
totally.
my teacher was the same. I showed him songs, and he was like, "Yeah, cool. Let's do that." And just showed me crazy fills and stuff that I wanted to learn. And most of the time, I made up my own stuff, and he kind of encouraged that. He never said like, no, that's wrong, you can't do that. He always encouraged like me doing whatever I wanted to do.
Okay, nice, nice. That's that. I mean, you know, it's a great approach. You know, there's different things where I think it just kind of clicked when you said that, as far as with the, you know, the guitar, and being like, well, you know, if they would have just kind of paid attention a little bit more, or kind of, you know, showed me even an inch of, you know, like some of the fun stuff that I'm looking for, maybe I would have stuck with it. And you never know
Yeah.
where that would have gone. But how long have you been teaching lessons?
I think from the early 2000s on. When I
Oh,
when I
really?
started
Okay, wow.
studying, I also started giving lessons. It was part of the studies, actually, at that school where I went, because it was always with the aim of you being a professional, and teaching is a big part of being a musician, in my opinion. And that school worked the same way. So we started giving lessons right away.
Okay, all right. What
And I
now?
enjoy it a lot.
Oh,
It's just fun to work with students. I'm sorry.
yeah, no. That's cool.
Okay.
I didn't want to take, you know, so long on that, but I mean, that was a really good point, and that was just something that kind of dawned on me from other conversations that I've had with drummers and people, you know, taking lessons and things, and even myself, you know, going in and doing something with lessons, you know, and you know, you taking that and kind of putting that into fruition, as far as, you know, that was something early on, you know, where I was like, well, that kind of frustrated me, you know, and then now implementing it into
Mhm.
your own lessons. That's really cool. That's awesome shit. Very oh, full circle, if you will.
Full circle, exactly. Yeah.
So bring us
Like,
bring us back to your first show. So, you know, kind of going back to those more awkward times and being young, and what was your first time playing in front of people? You know, maybe even in a garage. You know, what would you consider the first time playing with a band?
I think the first time I really remember playing, it was a show in the neighbor village, and by that time we had like this really fast hardcore band going, and you know the guys who said this normally you would have like a cover band, or you know, from the school, a bunch of people playing top 40 cover songs, and then all of a sudden we entered the stage, and all of the parents of the other kids sitting were like, what the fuck is happening? We did some original stuff. We covered Negative Approach and Yuppie Side, and we were like,
Nice.
"Ah, ah!" And everybody was like, "What?" And we just had the best time because we knew that we just would piss people off. And after that, we would set up shows in our garage, like just to piss off the neighbors.
Nice. No, I mean, was that something where was there a local scene? Did you have a lot of people that were real involved with, you know, either setting up shows or just in bands that were kind of doing things for friends to come and to
No.
do?
Not really. I mentioned earlier, the older brothers of my friends, they all were totally into the scene and tape
Sure.
trading and what have you. But they had one band, and they called it Chaos Core, like the music they played, not
Okay.
hardcore, but Chaos Core, because nobody knew how to play an instrument. And the band was called Apoplexy. Which was, you know, we were like, that's a band. But it was the only band we've had that I remember, and
Oh, wow.
they never played because you cannot have shows that. But I had to go to the next bigger city, where I was originally from, but my parents moved out into the suburbs.
Mm.
So, but you know, when I was a little bit older, I went back there, and there was a scene. You could play there in youth centers or bars even, and it got better from there. And there was a scene and bands and you know, like a network of friends.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What about your first time recording? Was that something where you had gone, you know, maybe even in a little bit more of a legitimate band, if you will? And did you go into a studio, or was it like a home, like a friend's recording studio? How did that work?
For the first proper vinyl record, we went into a studio in Munich. That was like 1.5 hours from where we lived, and it was a studio. It was not like just home recording, but it was this older drunk guy. He recorded punk bands, so he knew what he was in for. But he still recorded on tape machines, and it was pretty old school. It was a great experience. I knew, like, that's exactly what I want to do, right?
Okay.
But yeah, when I listened back to it now, it wasn't that good actually. We should have used the click.
Oh my God. That's funny. Is studio time, is that something that is that fun, you know, to you? Is that a positive experience, or do you get stress out of that? How do you handle that, you know, when you're going into, you know, get ready to record something else? That's funny.
To me, it's just stress now. The studio is always it's always pressure, because I'm a little bit one of those nervous people. I can play everything perfectly fine, but the moment somebody presses record, it really changes everything for me.
Dude,
And it never changed. It's still the same. It's so crazy. I even if I record myself, I play a lick. Like, let's say, whatever I do, if it's practicing piano or playing drums, whatever it is, I play something. It sounds, it's going well, and the moment I press record, I play like 50% of what I was able to do before. Just too nervous, and of course you get better with it over the years, and now I have the equipment to record myself regularly, but it's a stressful situation. And then, you know, the clock is ticking and you go like, oh, damn, the costs money. And
Right.
but all in all, yeah, it's pressure
There,
always.
there's got to be. I mean, maybe even like yeah, you end up writing a book about this, but there's got to be something as far as like a psychological thing because I've never asked anybody before, but I've always thought it was just me. You go into a studio and a half hour ago when we're at home practicing, everything's perfect, and then now all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what is happening? Like my body is just
exactly.
regretting me being here.
Yeah. It's for Giver's Life, so many little things like I composed and I really practiced it, and in the studio it was just okay. Now it's survival time. Just get it in there. And if I forgot something, I would probably say like fuck it.
Yeah.
Just the take is perfect. I'm not gonna do another one just to have this cymbal in there.
Yeah.
It's just wow, yeah.
I'd imagine, especially with Juggernaut, going back and having to do that one over and over again.
It even has one. Yeah, I had to do this one 4 or 5 times. My feet hurt. It was crazy.
Yeah. What was the?
And there was like.
Oh, go ahead.
There's one of those things where I would there's where you hit the cymbals and in the first chorus I played the wrong cymbal. I was like, fuck, stuck with that. So now you hear on the record me playing a wrong cymbal, which doesn't make any difference to anyone but me. But it's still, I wanted to have the right bell there, not this cymbal. Well, whatever. It's cool anyway.
Yeah, I mean, coming from somebody, I can say that's usually that's the first thing that I listen to. Listening to something. I mean, I didn't notice anything, as far as a flaw. So I mean, well done there. That's nothing to have worry in the back of your mind, but. Yeah, that was the track Juggernaut, was that always something that you just went into, you heard the riff and you're like, I'm gonna play double bass on this whole fucking thing?
No, kind of. I always wanted to have one of those songs, like having the double bass going just through the entire song, what was it? Demolition Hammer had this song, Human Dissection. I don't know if you know that song.
Okay.
And it's quite similar. It goes, it's like mid-tempo, but already, fast enough so it gives you trouble if you do it for a couple of minutes.
Right.
And I always wanted one of those songs. And then Leo had this riff, and yeah, that's it. That's
there it is.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Nice. I can imagine that's probably going to be one of the first songs in your guys' set, right? Like they put that as like the second to last track, and you're like, I'm not doing that.
Nah. Well, it's also from a musical standpoint, I think that's the perfect opener.
Yeah, totally.
Like a tank rolls over you. If you start like that, like, I don't know, we haven't had a show with the new material yet, but it's me. I picture me starting it, the guys walking on stage, because it has that build up that every instrument enters. I think that would be the perfect introduction to a Space Chaser show, and you can take your time. You don't have to rush. It's cool.
Right. Nice. Yeah. That would be. I'll edit out that snippet so we're not spoiling anything for the shows to come, because that'd be sick. Definitely do that.
Yeah.
And so digging into the live performance, tell us about your pre-show ritual. What are some things that you do getting ready for a concert or a show? Maybe off stage as far as stretching, practicing. Do you have anything that's just a weird thing that you have to do before going out?
Not a weird thing, but I do warm up extensively. You would find me hours before the show, like practicing on my pad, just loosening up my wrist and go through rudimental stuff, not just to warm up and stretch a bit. Then of course to warm up the feet it takes at least an hour, and the closer the show gets, you might find me, you know, jumping around and getting all crazy, like getting ready for, like getting the adrenaline going, and we would just, the entire band, we would just jump around and do weird shit. But yeah, I have to be really almost exhausted by the time I go on stage. And sometimes the hard part is you can't always do that because you don't always have a backstage room. You don't always have enough time. So you of course you need a quick solution to get warm as well. But if I have the time, I would do it for hours.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. And that's always something, you know, interesting as far as some people have, you know, the same kind of routine of practices, or, you know, wrist, hand, you know, feet movements, different things like that. But I always like to ask, you know, just as far as playing myself, you know, and kind of hearing what different people have. And I mean, of course, stretching. And then that's another thing too, where, you know, getting a little wild and kind of getting some adrenaline pumping, you know, and getting going. And
yeah, exactly.
You know, maybe just not too much, you know, that way you get out there and the guitarist is looking at you like, why the fuck are you playing so fast? I can't keep up.
That's actually why I started playing to a click, because I tend to do everything way too fast. So I'm making it hard for myself and for everyone else. So I just have everything on my metronome, like an app that I always have with me.
Oh, okay.
Just to, you know, always have it right. You still rush a bit, but to be safe, it's better.
Yeah, sure.
Before I did that, we had so many shows where I would ruin an entire section because I played it way too fast, and everybody looked at me like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" Like, I don't
know. You're just into it. You can't help it. Shit. I can't slow down.
Exactly. What am I do? What am I supposed to do now? Slow down? No, we have to. You know, I'm sorry. I'm doing this to you guys.
Oh my God! All right. Next up, I wanted to touch on the new album, "Give Us Life." Speaking of not slowing down, through and through, front to back. You know, I had to get a hold of, I got a hold of Brian as well, and telling him, I was like, you know, this is one of my favorite things that have come out in quite a while, and especially myself loving thrash. You know, sometimes thrash can be a little hit or miss, and this was a complete hit. You know, I absolutely loved it.
Awesome.
First thing I wanted to touch on the Immortals, you know, which was the second single that you guys released off the album. Tell us about writing that song, and, you know, what went into the heavy ending, the, you know, kind of halftime into complete ass beating halftime. What went into that?
Yeah, first of all, we always wanted to have a song like Ditto Head by Slayer. Like this crazy
shit,
fast
dude,
stuff.
of course. Yeah.
We always wanted one of those. And that's the riff. It's actually us trying to be a little bit like that, and crazy fast, and that's, I think you can hear it, but maybe not. I don't know. But then with the once we reached the end, we were like, yeah, what are we doing now? And we had this riff, and we were like, yeah, goddamn, I gotta play this halftime, and then we had that, and yeah, where are we going with this? And we had the idea of slowing it down some more, even, and more and more. We had versions. One time we had a version where we slowed down 4 times, like 10 beats every time.
Oh my God!
And that was a bit too much, but maybe that would be an idea for a live situation, maybe.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I think it's almost a little bit like Pantera style, to slowing down that much and going in again. I just think it's a great ending for that song, because it's so over the top all the time.
So Well, I mean, first I wanted to say I'm sorry for interrupting you there, but you said Ditto Head, and I was like, holy shit. I mean, by no means is it something where it's deliberate, but once you said that, that just like clicked. Damn,
Okay.
that definitely I can see that. So I didn't want to keep interrupting you, but I was just like, holy shit, that is
Go
cool.
ahead, please.
That's awesome. Next, the track "Burn 'Em All." Tell us about a little bit of what went into that track, and then the guest vocalist that appears.
Uh-huh. The guest vocalist is just Leo. It's our guitar player.
Oh, it is.
He sings. Yeah, he sings on 2 songs, on "Burn Them All" and "Signals" as well. That's one thing he started.
Shit, okay.
When we have on Dead Sun Rising, we have a guest vocalist from a well-known German band from the Donuts, and in a live situation, just Leo took on singing duties for this part, and we all thought it sounds pretty good. He has a good voice.
Totally.
So when we had Burn Them All finished, he just gave it a shot, and we liked it. It has this great momentum to have 2 singers going back and forth, and yeah, it's Leo doing just a great job being a singer, I guess.
Did he do backups or do like vocals on one of the previous releases from you guys, or is this
Not
the first
yet, no.
time? Man,
No,
I'm gonna have
this
to go
is the
back.
first time. Man.
I'll have to go back and
Yeah.
listen to think of what the hell I was thinking, because I was thinking that Leo had done vocals, and this was a little bit different from what I was hearing. So I was like, I don't think that's him.
No,
Oh, shit.
that was him.
Now I know.
On Dead Sun Rising, he had a guest singer, but that was not Leo.
Oh,
But he
okay.
sounds similar. That's why. That's how he got to. That's how he came into that, to mimic his kind of that kind of voice.
Nice.
Maybe that's why it sounds similar.
Okay. All right. That might be. Yeah, might be. Lastly, I wanted to touch on the finale track, "Dark Descent." Now you mentioned in interviews as far as the band falling into some dark times in past, and kind of over the years, some things being trying, as a play on the song title. Tell us about the first listening back to this record, and did you get a feel of a new breath of life into the band after listening to that, or at any moment recording?
Absolutely. It was when the vocals were laid down, and we listened back to the very first, the roughest mix you get. Just to the studio pulled something, so you just have something for at home to listen back, and I was like, damn, this is different. And I had the feeling like, yeah, that's us doing what we always wanted to do.
Nice.
And I really couldn't stop listening to it, because I thought, like, yeah, I think this is gonna be good. And then you have a couple of ideas what you have to change up probably, or for the mix. But all in all, it was already there. All this, we didn't have to manipulate too much, because the sounds and the songs, everything just, all this hard work and that we put ourselves through in the last year, it was just paying off. I think it was really good.
Totally. And I mean, it's like I mentioned, as far as scratch that. Going back a little bit with this album being released on Metal Blade, how did that come into play, as far as the record company working with you guys?
That was completely, I would say, dumb luck. A friend of ours, she told us that she's friends with one of the guys from Metal Blade, and we were sitting around joking, like, yeah, ask them if they want to sign us. And none of us were serious. We just, and a couple of days later, she told us, yeah, I asked him, and he knows you. And turns out he saw us live a couple of times. He liked us. So
shit.
And he was like, yeah, but I need to hear new stuff, of course. Like, oh damn, okay. So we recorded really quickly 5 songs actually, but the 5th wasn't done yet, so we decided to scratch that for now. So we sent them 4 songs. Yeah, and they liked it, and he pitched us to his bosses in the States, and that was it. And you can hear the 4 demo songs that we sent to him. They are included in the box set that we released. There's a little tape with 4 songs, and those are the very 4 demos that we sent to him. And that got us the contract with Metal Blade.
Holy shit, that is awesome. That is
Yeah.
so and yeah, I mentioned in the introduction of this too, as far as you guys having the old pizza box and, you know, plenty of goodies inside. How did that come about? How did the idea of you know, the presentation?
Well, that's what happens if you don't tell me no. You gotta stop. I just pitched. I had this idea. I had all these ideas, and I told them, like, okay, what if we did that? And and then he, like, the guy working with us was on fire. Like, okay, then we can. Oh, like, let's do an art print as well. I'm like, oh, okay, you know where to get this? Yeah, I'm gonna do this. And yeah, I want a big back patch. And the patch got smaller and smaller, but it's still fairly big. It's quite cool. And I thought, like, yeah, a demo tape, and we almost included a comic book. I don't know if you saw that, but on our page, we release every week. We release a cartoon from our friend, and we were gonna make a book, but he didn't have enough time for an entire book. But yeah, that would have been funny. But I think it's cool the way it is. And then when it came to, okay, but we need a box. That's the hard part, because usually the vinyl boxes that you see, those things are very expensive. And we had no, you know, we cannot release a box that costs 50 euros. So we had to keep it cheap. So I had the idea of a pizza box, because my other band did that as well, and it went fairly well. So I thought, like, yeah, maybe we can just copy that. Then we ordered a bunch of pizza boxes, and we were not too happy with the quality of the stuff. So we found that what we have now is this. It's actually what Century Media uses to send. If you order vinyl from them, they use these boxes. So we ordered 3. We asked if we could buy 300 of those, and they're quite expensive, but not too bad. And then we did the printing job ourselves. That's just to, you know, save money on that department. And also, I think that was the best choice, because every box is just it's very unique.
Yeah,
there's
individual.
no 2 of the same. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and so many cool things, you know, included in that too. You know, like you mentioned, there was a pat. Is there a T-shirt in it? I remember the tape, the vinyl.
Yeah, no, there's not. The original box set doesn't contain a T-shirt, but you were able to order it as a sort of a bundle. If you got a T-shirt with it, you got it for a little bit cheaper than the original price. But the original box set is just what's in the box. The T-shirts were not there.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't write that down, but I'm glad that that you had mentioned something about that, just because that was such a cool thing. And seeing, you know, like, anytime bands do something that's just a little bit, you know, I guess, quote unquote, out of the box, you know, something a little bit different, and, you know, having fun with it, you know, I think it just brings the overall aura, you know, outside of, you know, an album releasing is cool, but then it's like, holy shit, I get some of this cool stuff too. I can slap something on the back of my jean jacket. Like, fuck yeah.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. And, you know, seeing all the work that went into it, us doing all the stuff ourselves, I really think that gives it this personal note as well, that you would miss if it's just a plain old record release, right?
Totally. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh, going back to the last mention we had mentioned Dark Descent as the finale, and with your interest in Slayer, looking into your collection and early on your interest in the band, I wanted to ask, what are your three favorite Slayer closers as far as any of the albums? What are your three
Uh,
favorite closers?
uh, I was thinking a lot about that, but actually, that's all. It's all. There's nothing, no surprises there. It's the first and the best is Raining Blood. Raining Blood. The end.
Yes.
The you know the thunderstorm,
Yeah.
and it's actually on the vinyl record. It is on the run out groove. So if you don't have an automatic player, the needle just is there and it keeps on looping.
Yeah.
And it's just so great. I once fell asleep listening to that record, and I woke up like 30 minutes of just this, and in my dreams it all merged into this. Hey, it's beginning. I don't get it. So I think that's the best album closer. And the other two that I really like, of course, are Spill the Blood, because the way
Yes.
I think a last song from an album is just it has two jobs. It has to take you've been listening to this thrash metal album, like fast songs and very brutal riffs and whatnot, and the last song has to kind of carry you out, like to ease you out of the and at the same time it should make you want to just flip the side again and start over again, right? Just
Yeah,
make you
totally.
listen to it all again. So that's Spill the Blood. It's the way that song ends is just awesome. And the third one is, you could argue it's a boring song, but it's the perfect closer. It's Seasons in the Abyss.
Yeah.
It's just so good. I My friend Rob told me, like, it's a boring song. I don't know. It's actually a perfect album closer. It's great.
Hell yeah.
But an honorable mention is actually Supremist from Christ Illusion. The way
Oh, yeah, that's a
this
good one
song
too, for
ends,
sure.
uh, it's really it's a good closer, actually. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I had to mention because I was going to say Spill the Blood as well. But Payback has to be one
Uh-huh.
of my
Yeah.
favorite Slayer songs ever, and kind of in the juxtaposition is something with Spill the Blood where, it's kind of, easing your way out. Payback was just one of those tracks where it's like they are not going to let up at all in this album.
Yeah,
And if so, maybe
that's
even
one
at
hell
the
of a
end, it's
song. Yeah.
even more aggressive, like that's, and just trying to play
Yeah,
drums
yeah.
with it, that's a tough one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. That's the other direction you can go. Just go, over the top with everything. But with Dark Descent, we actually had the outro we had before we had the song, and in the end we just figured, hey, that fits perfectly. Let's do that.
Yeah,
So
nice. I love that. Yeah, I wanted to touch on that too because Slayer certainly has some some cool album closers, and that's always that's something that I look for in an album. Is obviously you have the opener, and sometimes even the singles are going to be something. Maybe even the single is an opener, but if you get to the very last song and the last song is still kicking ass, it's like, all right, this is job well done. With
it was great with album closers. Hail of Bullets.
oh
They
yeah,
I don't know.
dude.
Every single album has just the perfect, this majestic, these melodies, and they are so good with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, and that's always what I was thinking. Like, how do you do this in a thrash metal way? Because in death
Right.
metal, it's easier because you don't have to shy away from big melodies because it's kind of part of the music as well. But
Right.
for thrash, it's quite hard to pull that off. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. With I'm gonna have to go back and listen to them a little bit more because I know that I'd had like an album or two, and it's gonna be it. You mentioned that's something I'm gonna have to go and dig back into. And unfortunately nowadays you have so much stuff that week after week something's popping into your phone or saying that
Absolutely, yeah.
out. So that does make it a little tricky for things that you may have revisited a while back, and then all of a sudden it just kind of got lost in a queue or records you have. But I gotta check them out for sure. Lastly, about Give Us Life, I wanted to touch on the drum breakdown. What you used on this bad boy, as far as we'll just start with your drums. So you have oh my god, is it LB custom drums?
Yes, I was an LB endorser, but for that album I actually used my old Sonor Force 3000.
Oh, sweet.
Drum set.
Nice.
Yeah, because it just when I got my custom drum set, I went for big drums, like big sizes and a very large kick drum, and this is so hard to record. It's almost hard. It's very hard to control, like to get the air swinging in the kick drum. And my Sonor has a 20-inch kick, a smaller one, and it's way better to record. It still sounds really huge, but it's way easier to record and to tune. So I went with that drum set, and I think this is one of the best sounding drum sets Sonor ever did.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I used that one. We've just bought a bunch of Remo drum heads.
Okay.
Nothing special there, and got a couple new cymbals. I'm Istanbul Mirza, and
Okay.
I used for crash cymbals. I used the Black Bell series, and I have this great red cymbal from. It's a Snowy Sean signature. Unfortunately, I don't know who Snowy Sean is, but I love this. I really love this cymbal.
Sounds great.
It's called Ride the Lightning, and I like that a lot.
Oh, okay, damn, hell yeah.
Yeah. And some of those modern, China and splash cymbals with holes in it. They have a quite I kind of like the bright colors they add to the bigger, because I use for crash cymbals I use 17 and 19. Those are big sizes, and I like to have these smaller sounds as well.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Yeah. And
did you say you have
snare
Chinas,
drum?
right?
Yeah, one China.
Okay.
And
is that like an 18 or a 20?
Two splashes. Yes, 18 with holes in it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I
Nice.
really
Sorry,
like that sound. Yeah.
I interrupted. You were mentioning the snare drum.
My snare drum was I have this old Pearl free floating 14x8.
Nice.
That's a monster. It really sounds huge, and all the endorsements that I always have, but I can't. I even once I got my own signature snare. It sounds so good. It's a great snare drum, but I always come back to this Pearl because I had never had anything like that. I just love that snare so much. Maybe it's even, I don't even know if it's so good or if it's just, me being a little bit, what would you call it?
Biased.
Biased there, right?
Okay.
But
No, I can say you are not alone in saying that. I've had, I think, probably 3 or 4 drummers that I've interviewed that have all mentioned that free floating snare, and I keep going back to
really?
it. I've got
Okay.
an older Ludwig kit, but I've had my eye on one of those free floating snares because, especially listening, you know, the sound comes out of it. Like you said, it's a monster. The thing is so fucking
Yeah.
loud.
And you can tune it high and you can tune it low,
Right.
and both ways work. It's very versatile and easy to tune. This whole free floating thing works very well.
Mm.
I can only recommend it. Get a big one if you can, like a 8 in size. But the 6.5 work as well. I think they're still huge in sound.
Oh, okay. Is it normally are they
If you
normally 14?
Yeah, 14 by wherever you want.
Okay.
And the best part is you can change you can change the shells easily, because they are just, you know, just in there. The whole construct stays the same, and you can, if you get your hand on a different shell, you can use. I have a brass one and I have a maple one, so you can change that, and it costs you a couple minutes, and it totally changes the entire snare.
Wow, no kidding. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you just have the two you said, right?
Yeah, but there's also steel and copper. You have, but they are hard to find nowadays.
Oh, okay. Okay. Damn.
But
Wow.
I also think you can just use a shell. I don't think it necessarily has to be a pearl one. I think you can just order a shell and it still would fit, I guess.
Damn.
But
oh.
I would have to try.
Yeah. Right. Right. What's your preferred footwear when you're going and you're playing live or in the studio? What do you have to slap on the feet? I had to bring this up because the drummer from H2O mentioned this, and I'm like, you know, that is important.
Yeah, it is. It's whatever you're used to, I guess. But for me, sneakers just work. Like the skateboard shoes, Vans or something.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
It has the best contact to. I tried running shoes, but I figured I do not have the sole is too big. I do not have the same connection to the pedal as I would have with these smaller soles on my skateboard sneakers.
Right.
So I went back to those. Yeah, nothing special there. I always envy my friends. I know people who play with boots, like the drummer from Cadaver or from Vulture. They playing with big boots. I could never do that.
Doesn't make sense.
That's so crazy. Yeah.
That is so insane. I've had times where I've tried to, like, not that I was really going to play in them, but just trying, I'm like, how the hell do people do this? This is insane. Like,
yes.
What are your feet like when you have on just tennis shoes? Shit, you're playing this way with boots.
Exactly.
Dear Lord. All right. Lastly, I wanted to ask over, you know, the years of traveling and playing shows and kind of, you know, doing different things on the road with the band. What's something that you've picked up or purchased or, you know, possibly even been gifted that's, you know, just something way too cool to get rid of?
Yeah. When you sent me the questions, I was like, that's easy, and it's actually not. You find a lot of stuff, you buy a lot of stuff, you get gifted quite a lot from fans, and I was thinking about it, and I think the two things that I ended up with, okay, that's two things that I don't want to miss is this mug. I accidentally stole it from when we played in Luxembourg. So if someone is watching from there and says, "Hey, we were," give me your address. I'm happy to send you back. But actually, I don't want to miss it because I love it so much. And one more thing, like a fan of ours, she in a video I always mention that I like to eat chili and hot stuff, and so she gave me a hot sauce made of 12 Carolina Reapers. She made it herself. She gave me 2 of those. The one I ate already, and this one I just don't want to open it up because I want to keep it for spare. And this is the craziest thing that I have ever eaten. It's so hot, it makes you dizzy. But it's on the same time, it's so good And I remember she coming, before a show, she gave me a bag with fresh chilies that she had grown herself.
Oh, wow.
Like a bag full of Carolina Reaper and 2 glasses of these things. And she sent me even one. And also she dried some chilies and made me some homemade chili salt. Also with
Damn.
the hottest pepper known to man. It's so crazy.
Good
I'm
God.
kind of kind of an addict when it comes to hot sauces.
Okay. Do you pick up, like, do you find different local things, like if you're in different, cities and things, do you pay is that something that you kind of, gain a collection of as far as, picking up hot sauces?
Yeah, if I can. If I Most of the time you don't have the time to go shopping, but if I can, I would go and seek something out like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Nice.
living in Berlin, you can get almost everything here. So
Right.
it's I think we're a bit spoiled here
Yeah.
when it comes. I remember when I used to live in Bavaria, it was we would any town we hit, we would go into a record store, and there would be the first thing, just a record store rate.
Mhm.
But nowadays you have the internet, and in Berlin you have hundreds of shops. You don't really need that. We're still doing that because you always find something, of course.
Right.
But most of the time, yeah, it's not that exciting anymore. Unfortunately, the internet kind of killed that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I hope it's not something, and certainly like the last few years, or maybe even the last 5 or 10, have brought back, the vinyl, and have brought back, more of the physical, aspect to music. Especially, I think movies has always been a thing where people pick up and rent or buy, or, however, but music, especially, as far as with records coming back. I mean, that was always something I loved from my grandparents, having the big cool artwork, and, just
Yeah,
having the lyric sheets and all that, and it being kind of a display piece, having, I mean, you sit it back here and it's like, yeah, that looks fucking
yeah,
sweet. That could be a
absolutely. Yeah.
poster.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
no, go ahead. Sorry.
no. You're absolutely right. That's nothing can replace a vinyl record.
No, I agree. I agree. That, this is wrapping up our interview, man. We went a little bit over here, but I really appreciate the time today. I do have the one finale question still, but if you if you just want to let everybody know where to find you online, and, if the band has anything coming new, you guys just dropped a new video a couple of days ago. This is your opportunity, man.
Well, yeah, you can find us online on the Instagram, me through this page. I don't know if they can just see my link, but
Mhm.
or with Space Chaser with the band, you can find on Space Chaser Official on the Instagram or on Facebook. And yeah, we dropped the video to Antidote to Order on release day, which was kind of the opposite of the other like big productions. This is just us doing, what we love best, having a beer and doing having a video game. Yeah, that's about it, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your last question?
All right. Last up, I wanted to ask, once again, well, myself loving Slayer as well. I wanted to ask you if they had the opportunity where they were coming over to Berlin. Let's say they're doing, a last, another, reunion tour of sorts, and they needed a fill-in drummer. And they asked Matthias. They say, you know what? You can have any 5 Slayer songs that you want to play. What songs would you include in this set
Okay.
list?
Oh, all right. I think the first A side. I think the entire A side of South of Heaven. I would pick that right off the bat,
Ooh.
and maybe throw in Ghosts of War, and
Oh.
also, of course, oh God. Okay. You have South of Heaven, Silent Scream, maybe go Behind the Cross, Live Undead, and Ghost of War. I'm sorry,
Man.
I would really choose the South of Heaven because that's my favorite Slayer record, I guess.
Nice, nice. I mean, I couldn't ask for more of an answer. Of course, some of those tracks
Uh,
aren't often played in their set, so that'd be sick.
yeah,
Silent Scream,
I
especially.
actually,
Shit.
yeah, actually once I saw Slayer a couple of times, of course. Well, one time I saw them and Tom Araya lost his voice after 2 songs, or like during the second song, and like nobody really knew what was going on. Everybody on stage acted as if there were no problems, so they played like 2 or 3 songs without vocals. And Tom Araya was really, you could see he's embarrassed and desperate, and he asked the people to come up to sing. And I was like, God damn, I know all of the words. But I was just too shy. I couldn't. I was.
Oh man.
But I would.
Dang.
I wish I would have jumped on stage and just gave it a go. But I was just too shy.
Well, look, when they come back around, they need a drummer, my man. There you go.
Anytime, just give me a call if anyone is watching.
Dude, this has
All
been
right.
absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Matthias. I honestly, I appreciate the time and the record. Anybody watching, go and check that out. Please buy it because, man, what an awesome piece, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I had a great time talking to you. I hope this wasn't the last time.
Absolutely, man. Yep. You take care and you be safe. All right.
You too, man.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
He's a lo-fi horror guy. Yeah, he's kind of a guy, but he is so lo-fi a horror guy. Yeah. Lo-fi horror guy has been recorded in front of a live studio audience.